Welcome back to the Sideline Buzz here on WSBU 88.3 FM, The Buzz. My name is Connor Amendola. I'm joined by James Derrick, and we have a really special interview. Go ahead and introduce yourself for us.
Sorry, I cannot hear you at
Oh,
all.
that's all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead and introduce yourself for us.
Okay, hi. My call sign is Glee. I'm a B-1 pilot at Ellsworth Air Force Base, and I'm here for the Super Bowl Flyover.
Lee, thank you for joining us. So, I want to start with how you got into being a flyover pilot. Being a part of
So
this.
obviously I did all the necessary hoops, right, to pass Air Force pilot training, and then I've been flying the B-1 at Ellsworth for about 3 years now, and I was just picked by our command team to come out here and represent for the Air Force in Ellsworth.
Yeah, so just one interesting thing I definitely want to get out of the way because I feel like this is something me and Connor talked about before doing this interview. You know, you fly these insane planes, right? But I just want to gauge, like, do you have like a biggest fear? You know, it's like something that I think a lot of people would consider very scary, frightening. But, do you have a fear outside of that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think I'm a pretty big control freak, so anything I can't control. So I would say we live in the Black Hills, right? So in this giant national forest, and I spend a lot of time hiking and kind of out in nature. I am always terrified of either a bear or a mountain lion, right? Something I can't control just sneaking up on me. So that's probably my biggest fear.
Okay, so not like just spiders or something like that?
No, I was just telling him actually, I said I would say spiders, but I've been bit by a poisonous spider like 4 times. So I've been there, done that. I'm no longer afraid of them. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
So this is, it's really special to have a flyover happen for the Super Bowl. How does it feel to have that sort of connection between the services and the NFL?
Yeah, I think it's this really awesome kind of demonstration of what we're able to do as this joint force. A lot of times flyovers are usually just one branch of service. So I think it's a really good testament to what we do when we're actually downrange employing in our weapon systems. We're integrating, with other forces, with the Navy. We're working on timing, being on time over target. So I think this is, to people, it just seems like this kind of show of air power, but it's also a really good demonstration of how hard I think we have to work every day at our jobs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure to some people, it seems like a random connection. The Super Bowl, the flyover. I mean, do you have any theories? Do you know for sure? Like, what is the connection between the NFL and the military, stuff like that?
I mean, football is just inherently American, right? It's that to me. I was born and raised in Texas. Football is everything, and I think, especially with this being the 250th year, right, of America's anniversary, I think that it's this really cool connection of something ultra American with also the things that are ultra American, right? Our armed forces and the reason that America exists as a country and can stand on our fundamentals as a country as well.
Talking about that connection piece, do you really see any similarities between your experiences in the services and kind of what NFL athletes go through?
Yeah, I think so. Our job is physically demanding in really different ways. So, for example, the B1 will fly anywhere from 20 to 30-hour sorties, and we don't have augmented crew, so it's just us in the cockpit in our seats for 20 to 30 hours. So we do have to obviously be physically fit, take care of ourselves, and I think for us, it's a lot of prep work behind the scenes, right? So kind of comparable to them watching footage after games. We have to study a lot and understand our expectation and then our expectation of ourselves and of other people and what we expect in theater, especially to build a really good situational awareness picture, right? So like play calling, like I have to be really informed on the things that are a threat to me or that I am expected to be executing in order to accomplish a mission.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on like it's a physically demanding job. What's part of the training that goes into that? I mean, you touched on mentally
Yeah.
and physically as well.
Right. So I guess the physical part of it is really just taking care of yourself. So we're sitting on an ejection seat for a full day at a time, right? Our physical fitness is kind of on us as an onus, but we do have standards that we're expected to maintain. But for the mental part of it, like I said, it's really just staying engaged and reminding yourself, hey, I'm flying an airplane and I'm expected to execute this mission and not just kind of slacking off in cruise and making sure that we're checking everything we're supposed to and everything's working the way it's supposed to.
We talked a bit about that connection, but I want to ask if you were on the NFL field, is there a position you see yourself the most in? Is it quarterback? Is it wideout? Are you a line person?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to be lame. I'm going to say probably a kicker. Because the bomber mission is so dependent on other people doing their jobs and getting us to be able to execute our mission. So, for example, we usually send all of our fighters out first, and then the bomber flows into the mission. So, I would say we need everyone else to do their job to be able for us to execute our job. So, I would probably say kicker, as lame as that is, I'm going to get ripped to shreds for that one. But I think it is truly the most accurate. Yeah.
So, I mean, you say kicker. It's also like they take the most heat. The kicker does. You know,
Yes.
they miss the kick. It's
Yeah.
like, what the heck? You know, do you feel like it's kind of the same position that you're in?
Yes, absolutely. So the B1 carries the biggest loadout in the Department of War. So we have typically the most things that we need to strike, and because we have the most things, we also have the most room for error. So yes, I do think we tend to take the most heat if things go awry because there's a lot expected of us.
And do you think, like, I mean, often sometimes it's unfair, you know? It's like, you know, someone else doesn't quite, you know, the snap isn't the greatest, right?
Sure.
Someone else maybe doesn't quite do their job. Do you think that most of the blame is still placed on you guys, maybe unfairly sometimes too?
Maybe at times. I think the beauty of the B1 is that we have 4 people on our aircraft, so we have 4 minds kind of getting on one shared mental model to execute. So I think a lot is expected, but I think we also have a lot of really smart people that usually are pretty good at their job. So.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is you're not, from Buffalo. We have a bit of a history of missed kicks costing us
Oh
big
yeah.
games. But it's what would you? Is there something you would say to someone considering joining, or I know a lot of us have like brothers and sisters.
Mhm.
Something you would say to kind of urge them, maybe not just to join, but in anything. I mean, you're under a lot of pressure flying these missions. It'll be a lot of pressure to get things right for the Super Bowl. What would you say to someone kind of in that kind of a place?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, go for it. I have always felt underqualified or like unprepared to do anything that's been asked of me, but I have always had really incredible training and expectations set for me that I've always been able to meet the things. Like when I started pilot training, I was like, there's no way I can do this, right? And I had a lot of instructors that really believes in me, and I put in the work to do it. And I've been really blessed with really cool opportunities. So if there's something you want, whether it's joining the armed forces or any goal you want to achieve, just go for it.
I mean, you also mentioned, sometimes even when something goes wrong, like that doesn't usually happen because you have 4 great minds,
Right.
working together. Do you feel like, I mean, it's also very stressful too. Do you feel like you build that community within? Like, are you guys very close?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something really special about the unit that I'm currently in. We're all really close. We hang out outside of work. And I
Gotcha.
think just given the nature of the things that we do, it's important that you understand people outside of just a coworker perspective. And we've always been really lucky in the unit that I'm a part of to have that.
What's kind of that? You talk about like you hang out at work, but like how is that bonding process of really like getting to know your crew inside out, and how does that inform your kind of team dynamic?
Yeah, so sometimes it's, you bond through things that aren't the greatest, right? So, weather is bad and you can't go fly, and that's a bummer because you just spent all this time mission planning a sortie or something. I think it's the shared goal of kind of what we are always preparing to go do and understanding that these are people that I'm potentially going to go fly in combat with, right? And I want to fundamentally understand them, and I want to know that I can trust them and rely on them. And every day when we go fly training sorties, we execute like we're flying in combat, and we come back and we'll talk about it for hours at a time. And I think that builds the confidence. And I think another part is being humble. So when things don't go well in training sorties, we come back and we debrief it and we talk about it. And you have to own your mistakes. And when people are really forthcoming with their mistakes and their shortcomings, I think it builds a lot more trust in people of, okay, this person understands and they are going to be better for it because we talked about it and now we learned all together how to do this better.
Yeah, like the mentality of you don't want to let anyone down. You kind of push each other.
Exactly.
To be
Yeah,
better.
the iron sharpens iron, right? Yeah.
Oh,
Mentally,
Sorry, Connor, go ahead.
mentally, how do you get yourself ready to do something like a Super Bowl flyover?
Again, I think that's just a lot of training, a lot of being prepared for us. I know we're going to spend a whole day mission planning the flyover, and that's, just the B1 side of it, coordinating with all the other players. We obviously trust everybody on the ground to have the timing right and do everything perfectly. And then briefing it. So we'll brief for probably about 2 hours, and it's every little last detail. If this happens, then we're going to do this. If this goes wrong, we're going to execute this COA. So it is just looking at something from every single perspective, and if something goes wrong, how am I going to counteract it, and how am I going to keep all these aircraft involved on the same page of executing that flyover?
Okay, so not to get totally off topic, but this is just something I was wondering. Um, you spend a lot of time training, making sure you're mentally sharp, physically sharp. What do you do to decompress? Is there like, do you watch
Yeah.
TV, read a book, and if so, what's your favorite kind of thing?
Yeah, I have a lot of grandma hobbies, which is not a cool answer, but I love to read. I love fiction specifically. I've also taken up needle pointing, and I've always been big into just like crafting in general. But for me, I just like to go home and spend time with my family and decompress. I also really like to cook, so for me, going home and cooking a really great meal for my family.
What's like your
And
favorite?
my favorite thing to cook, oh my gosh, I love Korean food. My mom's Korean, so yeah, any Korean food, like specifically Korean street food, I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're doing a flyover, and especially a longer one, you said you're in the chair 20, 30 hours, how do you keep yourself focused on that task at hand when it is pretty easy to 15 hours in say, okay, we're probably pretty good. I can, pump the brakes a little bit.
Sure.
But how do you keep yourself sharpened and ready to go?
Yeah, so good question. I think our sorties are a lot busier than people think they are. So I talked about we're flying for 20 to 30 hours, but every hour to 2 hours, I have something else going on. I either am integrating with somebody or I'm flying air refueling, which is always kind of this significant emotional event, right? Like I'm about to fly 10 feet away from another airplane and they're going to put gas in my airplane while I'm flying it. So the other thing for us is we fly with our helmets and our headsets, and this sounds dumb, but when we fly AR, we have air refueling, we have to wear our helmets. So we're switching from our helmets to our headsets pretty frequently. And to me, it's like when I put my helmet on, it's like, all right, game on. I'm either dropping weapons, I'm flying air refueling, but if I have my headset on, it's kind of our time to chill and relax a little bit. But yeah, every hour to 2 hours, you've got something going on. So you're pretty busy. There's not really a whole lot of loiter time.
That's it for me. Yeah.
It sounds pretty similar to a little bit of how we have to operate down here.
Yeah, your schedule's packed.
It seems like it's just you're doing a radio show, but we get to record a segment, we got to produce it, we get other people walking around, we do interviews, we have to splice it in, and we got to send it back home so we can air live on the station.
Yes, yeah. All people see is the finished, polished product, right? They
Yeah.
don't see all the prep work that goes into it. They don't see all the editing. Yeah, exact same for sure.
The last thing I want to ask, is what lessons can a team like us or any team really take from what you do?
Yeah, I think where the Air Force and the Navy, both flying wise, really make their money, like I said, is that debrief portion. We come back, we talk about every single thing that happened. We talked about what we did incorrectly, how we do it correctly, how we improve it, and then we will sit down with our units and we'll talk. So for us, we have a mass brief where we all sit down and it's, I flew this week and this is what didn't go well and this is how we're going to fix it. And it makes everybody in that room better. So I think always those lessons learned and then improving upon those lessons learned.